Weekly security sweep is nearly complete, sir. Post-breach protocols, as you requested after our little intrusion incident. Every Wayne Enterprises internal platform, every network, every employee-facing system scanned at the granular level. I must say, it's rather tedious work, sir, but given the circumstances. You find anything? Nothing on the corporate side, sir. Firewalls intact. No unauthorized access since we patched the vulnerability. The breach from the Court of Owl's investigation appears to have been a one-time incursion. Or at least they haven't tried the same door twice. However, something flagged on one of the employee platforms. The quarterly satisfaction survey. You know the sort, the rate your workplace experience on a scale of 1 to 5, that kind of thing. It was, distributed to all divisions last Tuesday. 312 employees have completed it so far. Perfectly ordinary responses. Gripes about parking, requests for better coffee in the break rooms, except one. What kind of exception, Alfred? The metadata. Someone embedded a message in the file properties of their submission. Not in the survey answers themselves. Buried in the back-end architecture of the form. Hidden away in a way that would only be visible to someone scanning at the level I operate at. You could look at this survey 1,000 times and never see it unless you were reading the raw data underneath, sir. That means they knew we'd be looking. Or hoped someone would be. Precisely, sir. The message is encoded. Numerical cipher. Quite elegant, actually. I recognise the structure, but I can't quite place where I've seen it before. It's not any standard encryption protocol I'm familiar with. I can place it. That's my father's system. Sir? Thomas Wayne's medical case files. The free clinics he ran through the Wayne Foundation in the 70s and 80s. Every patient received a unique alphanumeric code based on intake date, clinic location, and condition severity. It was entirely internal. Never published. Never digitized outside the family archives. He designed it himself, so patient records couldn't be cross-referenced by anyone outside the Foundation. How on earth would someone outside the Wayne family know that system existed, let alone how to use it? Decode it first, then we find out. Running it now, sir. Mapping the cipher against your father's numbering protocol. Translating character by character. This will take a moment. The key is rather intricate. Okay. The message reads, "They're changing the staff. Patients are being taken. I can't go to the police. Please help." Patients. That means a medical facility. Who submitted that survey? The metadata trick was applied at the server level, not the individual submission level. Whoever did this had back-end access to Wayne Enterprises' HR platform. They didn't just fill out the form, they modified its architecture. Now that narrows the field considerably. Cross-referencing back-end access privileges with the 312 respondents who completed the survey in the past 2 days. One match, sir. Dr. Evelyn Cross, Deputy Medical Director at Arkham Asylum. She has mid-level administrative access to Wayne Enterprise systems because Arkham's employee health benefits are managed through a Wayne Foundation subsidiary. She used her benefits portal login to reach the survey platform's backend. Clever, but desperate. Yes, both I'd say so. If anyone at Arkham audited her access logs, she'd lose her position at minimum. Possibly face criminal charges for unauthorized system access. Pull up her file. Dr. Evelyn Cross, 53 years old, 19 years at Arkham Asylum. She's been there longer than most of the walls. Dual doctorate in psychiatry and neurology from Gotham University. Spotless employment record. No disciplinary actions, no complaints filed against her, no unusual financial activity. No red flags of any kind. Published 12 papers on trauma-informed care for incarcerated patients, it says here. She's precisely the kind of person who doesn't raise alarms unless something is genuinely terribly wrong. And the cipher? How does an Arkham psychiatrist know my father's clinic numbering system? Excellent question, sir. Let me check her early career records. Ah, there it is. Before Arkham, Dr. Cross completed her residency at Gotham General. During that period, she volunteered at a Wayne Foundation free clinic in the East End. 3 years pro bono work with addiction patients. She would have processed patient intake files daily using your father's numbering system, sir. She worked with his staff. She'd have used it hundreds of times. The sort of thing that stays with you, sir. Particularly if you're the thorough, detailed, orientated type. Which, by all accounts, she very much is, sir. Her residency supervisor described her as pathologically meticulous. I believe it was meant as a compliment. She sent this within the last 2 days. What's happening at Arkham right now? Give me a moment to pull up their staffing records. Arkham's HR system is rather antiquated, I'm afraid. Ah, here we are. Personnel changes in the past 6 weeks. 3 orderlies have resigned from the intensive treatment facility, the maximum security wing. Yes, sir. Houses the most dangerous and psychologically complex inmates in the entire Gotham correction system. These positions require years of specialized training, background clearances, psychological evaluations. You don't staff them with agency temps, and yet Derek Collis, 12 years at Arkham, resigned 6 weeks ago. Grace Okafor, 8 years, resigned 4 weeks ago. Paul Westing, 15 years, resigned 2.5 weeks ago. No exit interviews were conducted for any of them. 12 years, 8 years, 15 years. That's 35 years of institutional knowledge walking out the door in 6 weeks. No exit interviews. Extraordinary, isn't it? Derek Hollis in particular. I found commendations in his file going back a decade. He was considered one of the most experienced and trusted orderlies in the facility. The kind of employee you'd throw at a retirement party for. Not someone who vanishes on a Tuesday. Replacements? All 3 positions were filled within 24 hours of each resignation. All hired through the same external staffing agency, Nightingale Personnel Solutions. Each replacement arrived already badged, already cleared through security, already trained on protocols that normally take 6 to 8 weeks to master. They knew the facility layout, the patient routines, the medication schedules, the security codes. 24 hours for maximum security positions. I've already checked the standard hiring timeline for Arkham's intensive treatment wing. Background checks alone take 3 weeks minimum. Psychological screening takes another 2. These replacements were processed in a day, sir. Someone had them ready before the positions were vacant. Nightingale personnel. When was it incorporated? 6 weeks ago, sir. To this day, in fact. Registered in Gotham 6 weeks before Derek Hollis resigned. Single office address in Burnley. No web presence, no client reviews, no industry affiliations, no history whatsoever. The company materialised out of thin air precisely in time to supply replacement staff to Arkham. Find the 3 originals. Hollis, Okafor, Westing. Phone records, credit cards, social media, utility accounts, everything. Searching now, sir. Derek Hollis. Apartment lease terminated, effective the day after his resignation. Mobile phone disconnected, number reassigned. Last credit card transaction was petrol station purchase in Bloodhaven the day after he left Arkham. Then nothing. No digital footprint whatsoever. Grace Okafor, identical pattern. Lease terminated, phone disconnected, last transaction, a bus ticket to Metropolis. Then silence. Paul Westing? The same, sir. All 3 have effectively ceased to exist in any traceable form. 3 experienced professionals don't quit the same job, abandon the same city, and go completely dark within 6 weeks of each other. Someone paid them, threatened them, or removed them. Or all 3, sir, in some combination. Check the dead drops. I'm sorry, the dead drops, sir. The Wayne Foundation community mailboxes. East End Burnley, the Narrows crime alley. My father installed them for clinic patients. Secure drop boxes where people could leave messages. Requests for help. Anonymous tips about abuse or neglect. Places where someone with nowhere else to turn could ask for help without showing their face. Most aren't monitored anymore, but... Yes, I know the one you're talking about. I maintain a weekly collection route. I have done for years, sir, out of respect for your father's original vision. As a matter of fact, this arrived 11 days ago, sir. Physical letter, handwritten on plain paper. Deposited in the East End mailbox on Finch Street. There was no return address, no name, no identifying marks. I flagged it as non-urgent at the time. We received the occasional piece of mail from People who remember the old clinics. Nostalgia, mostly. Shall I open it, sir? Go ahead, Alfred. Okay, sir. Inside is a USB drive wrapped in a note. See, it reads, "For Mr. Wayne's eyes only. I don't know who else to trust." Loaded, Alfred. Isolated system. Already on the quarantine terminal, sir. Single audio file. Duration 14 minutes 23 seconds. Recording quality suggests a mobile phone in an enclosed space. Shall I play it?
This is Dr. Evelyn Cross, Deputy Medical Director at Arkham Asylum. So, yeah. I'm recording this in my car in the parking garage on Novick Street because I don't feel safe making this statement anywhere else. I don't know if anyone will hear this. I don't know if anyone checks these mailboxes anymore. But I have to try. So, I volunteered at a Wayne Foundation clinic during my residency, 25 years ago. Addiction services in the East End. Your father's staff used a numbering system for patient files, alphanumeric codes, very specific. I used it every day for 3 years. I never forgot it. If someone at the foundation is still listening, still paying attention the way Thomas Wayne used to, then you'll know how to reach me through the survey system. I've embedded a message. 6 weeks ago, Derek Hollis, he didn't show up for his shift. I was told he resigned, effective immediately. No notice, no farewell, no explanation. Derek Hollis has worked at Arkham for 12 years. He once told me he'd be carried out of that building in a box before he'd quit voluntarily. He loved those patients, genuinely loved them. He was one of the only people in that facility who treated them like human beings. Then Grace Okafor left. Then Paul Westing. Same story each time. Management said it was voluntary. Paperwork was already filed. Each time, a replacement appeared within a day from a staffing agency I'd never heard of. Already badged, already cleared, already knowing things they shouldn't know. They knew which patients needed restraint protocols. They knew the medication schedules. They knew the blind spots in the security cameras. Things that take months to learn, and they walked in knowing them on day one. I started watching the new staff. They're competent. I'll give them that. Almost too competent. But they don't interact with patients the way real orderlies do. No small talk, no checking in, no familiarity. They treat the inmates like inventory, like cargo to be moved from one place to another. Grace used to sing to the patients during morning medication rounds. "You are my sunshine." Every single morning, rain or shine, for 8 years. It was the only time some of those patients smiled. The woman who replaced her doesn't even use their names. She calls them by cell number. Then I noticed the patient files. 3 inmates in the intensive treatment wing have been flagged for transfer to a secondary rehabilitation facility. I've worked at Arkham for 19 years. Arkham does not operate secondary facilities. We never have. There is no secondary facility. When I asked the chief of medicine, Dr. Leonard Hurst, about it, he told me it was a new program, pilot phase, need-to-know basis. He said to focus on my own patients and stop asking questions. Leonard Hurst has never spoken to me like that in 11 years. He looked me in the eye and told me to stop asking questions, and there was something in his voice that wasn't a suggestion. It was a warning. I think. The 3 transferred inmates. Martin Fleiss, convicted forger, serving 12 years. His specialty is document fabrication. Honestly, his work was so precise, it fooled federal banking verification systems. And the FBI even studied his techniques as like a part of their counterfeiting training program. Dr. Yolanda Ramos. So she was a former pharmaceutical chemist, I think, convicted of manufacturing synthetic compounds for distribution. She's described in her case file as one of the most gifted chemists in Gotham, possibly in the country. She can synthesize almost anything from base materials. And Sergeant Raymond Cutler. He's former military, dishonorably discharged, convicted of illegal weapons manufacturing and controlled demolitions. He was special forces before his discharge. Expert in structural demolition and improvised explosive devices. A forger, a chemist, and a demolitions expert. I don't know what someone would want with all 3 of those skill sets combined, but the possibilities terrify me. I tried to access the transfer paperwork. My security clearance for those files was, revoked overnight without explanation. I tried to contact the families of the transferred inmates. Their emergency contacts say they haven't been notified of any transfer. Nobody told them. Nobody told anyone. I can't go to the police. I can't. Arkham's head of security, Harold Voss, he has deep connections throughout the GCPD. He plays cards with precinct captains. He goes fishing with detectives on weekends. I don't know where Voss ends and the GCPD begins. So yeah, I can't afford to find out by trusting the wrong person. And there's something else. Something I keep thinking about. Grace Okafor, 2 days before she left, she pulled me aside in the corridor near the medication dispensary. We were alone, and she was like kind of pale or something. Her hands were shaking. She grabbed my arm and said, "Evelyn, you know me. You know me, right?" I said, "Of course I know you, Grace. What's wrong?" She said, "Then remember that. Remember who I am. Promise me." I promised. I thought she was being dramatic, or maybe she'd had a bad shift. But the way she said it, she wasn't making conversation. She was making a request. Like, she was trying to hand me something precious for safekeeping. Like she knew she was about to lose it. I remembered. The Wayne Foundation. I remembered that Thomas Wayne, he built those clinics because he believed everyone deserved help, even when the system had given up on them. Even when no one was listening. I hope someone is still listening. Please, find out what's happening here, before there's no one left who remembers.
Remember who I am. The poor woman knew something was coming for her. Tear Nightingale personnel apart. Every financial record, every incorporation document, every transaction. I want to know who built it, who funded it, and who it answers to. Already pulling everything I can find, sir. Company registration, single director listed, a Jeanette Fairchild. Address in Burnley, filed 6 weeks ago as we established. Let me run the director's credentials. Jeanette Fairchild, the social security number listed on the incorporation documents, belongs to a woman who died in a nursing home in Bloodhaven in 1987. She was 83 years old. She has no living relatives, no estate, no one who would notice her identity being borrowed 38 years after her death. The registered office address is a commercial mail forwarding service on Burnley's main road. It's the kind of place where you pay $40 a month for a mailbox number and a veneer of legitimacy. The replacement orderlies, Stahl, Lowe, Webb, also fabricated, sir. All three identities were constructed within the past 6 months. Clean backgrounds, clean credit histories, appropriate employment records at facilities that either don't exist or have no record of them. I ran their photos through facial recognition databases, no matches. These people, whoever they actually are, have never been photographed or processed under their real names in any system I can access. That's not amateur work, sir. That's intelligence-grade identity construction. Follow the money. Where did Nightingale get its operating funds? Single incoming wire transfer, sir. $200,000. Received 5 days after incorporation. The source account belongs to a Gotham real estate holding company called Burnley Property Management LLC. They own 14 commercial properties across Burnley and Otisburg, all managed through a legal trust. The trust, in turn, is administered by a law firm, Covington Hale and Associates. Covington Hale, old Gotham money, a white shoe firm. Oldest in the city, actually. Estate management, trusts, generational wealth. Their clients include several founding families. And sir, Covington Hale represented 3 subsidiary companies of the Elliott Trust in property disputes last year. Same Elliott Trust from the court investigation? Yes, sir. I know the connection, but a shared law firm doesn't constitute... I know. Keep pulling. What does Burnley Property Management actually own? Let's see here. 14 properties, mostly standard commercial. Warehouses, small office buildings, a few retail spaces, but one stands out rather dramatically. A decommissioned water treatment plant beneath the Burnley district, built in 1941, served Gotham's northern grid for 57 years. It was decommissioned in 1998 when the city upgraded its infrastructure. 3 levels underground, reinforced concrete throughout industrial-grade ventilation, and its own dedicated power substation, separate from the city grid. Utility records? That's what caught my eye, sir. According to Gotham energy records, the plant has been drawing significant electricity for the past 4 months. Far more than you'd expect from a vacant building. Enough to run laboratory-grade equipment, full climate control, and high-security electronic locking systems. All while officially listed as inactive and unoccupied. What kind of equipment matches that draw pattern? Well, I've ran the consumption profile against known facility types. It's not the server farm. It's the wrong spike pattern. Not a manufacturing operation. It's too consistent. The closest match is a medical facility. Intermittent high-draw spikes, consistent with precision imaging equipment or surgical-grade machinery. Someone is running an operating theatre under the streets of Burnley, sir. Go back to the Arkham patient files. The 3 inmates who were transferred out. Have any of them come back? Let me check. Accessing Arkham's medical record system. Cross-referencing transfer logs with current patient census. Oh dear. What? Martin Fleece, the forger. Transferred out September 28th. Returned to Arkham October 6th. 8 days. His transfer paperwork lists the reasons for return as program completion, patient stable. Post-return evaluation signed by Dr. Hurst. Notes: no change in condition. Patient cooperative. Recommend continued standard care. 8 days. Dr. Yolanda Ramos. Transferred out October 7th. Returned October 15th. 8 days. Same paperwork. Same evaluation language from Hurst. Almost word for word, actually. As though he was copying from a template. Sergeant Raymond Cutler was transferred out October 16th and has not yet been returned. Pull up the neurological imaging. Arkham runs quarterly brain scans on all intensive treatment patients. Yes, sir. Standard protocol for maximum security inmates. Pulling Martin Fleece's imaging history now. August scan pre-transfer. Normal brain architecture, no abnormalities, consistent with 10 years of previous imaging. Clean. October scan, taken 5 days after his return. There's something new. Small foreign object near the brainstem. Approximately 4 millimeters in diameter. Metallic composition. Precisely placed. Not lodged randomly, but positioned. Surgical precision. The radiologist didn't flag it. No. Not in the noted report, sir. Not flagged. Not mentioned anywhere in his post-return file. The radiologist who read the scan either missed it, which, given its visibility, would require remarkable incompetence, or was told to miss it. Yolanda Ramos shows the identical object on her post-return imaging. Same placement, same size, same composition. Identical. Alfred, what is it? It appears to be a micro-implant, specifically a miniaturized neural interface device. Its positioning near the brainstem suggests it's designed to interact with autonomic nervous function. The body's involuntary systems, heart rate, breathing, stress response, hormonal regulation, and potentially behavioral compliance, the ability to override volition at a neurological level. Run the design specifications against patent databases, medical device registries, military research programs. Searching now, sir. Patient archives, medical device registries, military databases. Cross-referencing implant dimensions, materials, positioning. Sir, it's ours. What do you mean, ours? The implant design is based on a patent filed in 1994 by Wayne Enterprises, the Applied Sciences Division. Project designation, Athena. It was a deep brain seizure suppression system designed to help patients with severe treatment-resistant epilepsy. The project was personally overseen by Thomas Wayne as part of his medical philanthropy program. Tell me everything you can about Project Athena, Alfred. Well, the early trials showed extraordinary promise. The implant could detect and suppress seizure activity before it cascaded, essentially stopping epileptic episodes before the patient was even aware they were happening. Your father called it one of the most important medical advances of his career. But he shut it down. Yes, sir. Because his research team discovered the technology could do far more than suppress seizures. With relatively minor modifications to the signal parameters, the device could influence mood states, suppress independent decision-making, compliance. Yes, sir, precisely. Heighten suggestibility. Essentially, rendering the subject unable to resist external instruction. Your father's team demonstrated that capability in a controlled test. He terminated the entire project the same day. The termination memo? What did it say? Let me see here. It says, this technology has the potential to eliminate human autonomy. No therapeutic benefit justifies that risk. It must never be developed further. Archive all materials. Restrict access to level 4 and above. Destroy the prototypes. Were they destroyed? The prototypes were, yes. But the research, the schematics, the calibration data, the surgical methodology, that was archived. Sealed in Wayne Enterprises' deep storage. A physically isolated server in the sub-basement of Wayne Tower. No network connection, no remote access. You have to be physically present in the room with level 4 clearance. Biometric authentication and a key card. Your father designed the security protocols himself. He wanted the knowledge preserved in case it could someday be made safe. But he made certain no one could reach it casually. Someone got in the room. pull up the behavioral logs for the returned inmates. Everything since they came back. Pulling up daily reports, therapy notes, incident logs. Comparing pre-transfer and post-return behavioral for both Fleece and Ramos. The contrast is... I don't have a word for it, sir. Martin Fleece, prior to his transfer, documented history of constant defiance, manipulation and resistance. He attempted to bargain with the staff over everything. Meal portions, recreation time, cell temperature. He refused medication on 14 separate occasions. He threatened an orderly with a fabricated legal action for confiscating a pencil. He was, by every account, exactly the sort of brilliant, difficult, confrontational personality you'd expect from a man who'd spent 30 years deceiving institutions for a living. And after post-return, he's described as remarkably cooperative and showing unprecedented therapeutic progress. He follows instructions immediately and without question. Eats when told, sleeps when told, moves when told. His therapy notes say he engages willingly with all treatment protocols and demonstrates no resistance to authority. But there's one entry, sir. October 9th. After his return, the overnight orderly, Paul Westing, actually, this was one of his final shifts before his own departure. He logged an observation. It says, patient Fleece was found standing motionless, facing the wall of his cell. Duration of behaviour unknown. Patient was in this position when I began my rounds at 11 p.m. and remained in this position until 5 a.m. when I concluded my shift. Patient did not move, did not speak, did not respond to verbal prompts or physical proximity. When I asked the patient if he needed anything, patient turned his head, only his head, and said, "I haven't been told yet." Patient then resumed facing the wall. Patient remained in position until the morning shift supervisor instructed him to sit for breakfast, at which point patient complied immediately. I haven't been told yet. A man who spent 12 years fighting every instruction he was given, standing in place for 6 hours because no one told him to stop. That isn't rehabilitation, sir. That's the absence of a person. Proof of concept. Someone is demonstrating that the implant works. Take a human being, install a device, return them to their environment as a perfectly compliant version of themselves. No visible trauma. Just a person who does exactly what they're told and nothing else. And if it works on convicted criminals with documented histories of defiance and resistance to authority, it works on anyone. Corporate executives, politicians, judges, city officials. Anyone in a position of power could be pulled from their life for 8 days. A business trip, a medical conference, a family emergency. Implanted and returned to their desk. No one would know. The person themselves might not even fully understand what happened. Someone could control Gotham without anyone realizing it. Pull the archive access logs for Project Athena. I want to know who's been in that room. Accessing the sub-basement security system now, sir. The archive terminal maintains its own independent log, separate from the building's main security infrastructure. Level 4 clearance, biometric scan, physical keycard swipe. All 3 required for entry, all 3 logged independently. 4 entries in the past 6 months. June 12th, 2:14 AM, duration 47 minutes. July 28th, 11:52 PM, 1 hour 12 minutes. August 15th, 3:07 AM, 3 minutes. September 9th, 1:41 AM, 48 minutes. All at night, when the sub-basement would be completely empty. Someone has been visiting your father's sealed research in the dead of night. 4 times in 6 months. Spending significant time with materials that were never meant to see the light of day again. The biometric logs for those 4 entries have been overwritten with null data. Not deleted, sir, overwritten. Replaced with blank entries. Someone with sophisticated technical knowledge sanitized their tracks. The override method. Do you recognize it? That's what stopped me cold, sir. The override pattern. The specific way the null data was layered. The formatting of the blank entries. It matches the breach signature from our systems. The intrusion during the Court of Owls investigation, sir. Same technique. Same hand. Same people. It would appear so, sir. However, the key card system operates on a separate, older network. Legacy infrastructure from the 90s. Whoever scrubbed the biometrics either didn't know about it or didn't consider it worth the trouble. All 4 entries were made with the same keycard, assigned to Dr. Leonard Hurst, Arkham's chief of medicine. The man who told Cross to stop asking questions. The man who signed off on the return evaluations. The man who didn't flag the implants on the scans. His background is rather illuminating in this new context, sir. Shall I? Everything. Let's see here. 61 years old. Born in Gotham, educated at Gotham University. Same institution as Dr. Cross, though they overlapped by only a year. Surgical residency at Johns Hopkins, specializing in deep brain neurosurgery. Considered exceptional. Published extensively, then he left Hopkins abruptly and enlisted. United States Army Medical Corps. When? That was 1996. 2 years after Project Athena was filed, he served in a classified program at Fort Bragg. Specialization? His service record describes it as cognitive enhancement and behavioral modification research. The program was officially discontinued in 2003. All operational details remain sealed. And after the military? Let's see here. Returned to Gotham. 15 years in private neurosurgery practice, quiet, reputable, no red flags. Then he took the chief of medicine position at Arkham 11 years ago. Quite a step down in prestige for a surgeon of his caliber, actually. One wonders what drew him to a place like that. military neurological research, deep brain surgical expertise, and a classified program focused on behavioral modification. He has the knowledge to understand what Project Athena could do, the surgical precision to install the implants, the institutional authority at Arkham to select test subjects no one would miss, and, I suspect, the ideological disposition to see nothing wrong with it. Someone recruited him, pointed him at the archive, gave him the means to get in, and paid him. Hurst received a wire transfer of $175,000 from Burnley Property Management, the same entity that funded Nightingale personnel, 3 days before the first inmate was transferred. The payment is categorized in his personal accounts for a consultancy fee. Rather generous consulting, wouldn't you say? There was something else in the Nightingale financial records. An outgoing purchase order. Yes, sir. I flagged it earlier, but hadn't fully traced it. A purchase order for 12 additional implant devices, placed through a medical supply company that is itself another shell entity. Registered 4 months ago. Single transaction. No other business activity. 12. The proof of concept was 3. They're scaling up. The payment for the 12-unit order originated from a trust account managed by Covington, Hale and Associates. The delivery address is a private medical suite in the Gotham Financial District, 32nd floor of the Monarch building. The suite is leased to an organisation called the Gotham Futures Initiative, registered as a non-profit civic think tank focused on urban development, and I quote, preparing Gotham for the challenges of tomorrow. Who runs it, Alfred? Board of Directors includes 3 sitting members of Gotham City Council. Alderman Navarro, Pemberton and Buckley. All 3 voted in favour of the old Gotham redevelopment proposals. All 3 are on record supporting accelerated demolition timelines. Executive Director of the initiative is Constance Powers. Same name, same circle, same money. Vice Chair of the Elliott Trust. Old Gotham. The Powers family made their fortune in maritime shipping in the 1840s. They owned half the docks in Gotham before the Waynes broke ground on the first building. She sits on 14 corporate boards across the city. She chaired the Gotham Historical Society for 12 years, the irony of which is not lost on me, given that she now appears to be funding the erasure of the very history she was meant to protect. And sir, she was directly connected to all 3 companies where employees disappeared during the Count of Owls investigation. Kellerman, Apex, Hendricks. She sat on their boards. She had oversight of the very operations being used to siphon money. And now she's running a think tank that just ordered 12 neural compliance devices delivered to a private surgical suite in the financial district. The proof of concept at Arkham was 3 inmates. 12 devices means 12 new targets. They've moved past testing. They're deploying, sir. What's on the initiative's internal server? Accessing now, sir. Nightingale's personal administrative credentials were issued through the same trust portal that manages Covington. and whoever configured it left the Trust Portal sessions tokens valid across all subsidiary networks. Sloppy but useful. I'm in through their own door, essentially. Their internal security is considerably more sophisticated than the entry point would suggest. Multiple encryption layers. Someone spent real money protecting this infrastructure once you're inside. Military-grade encryption on several directories. Breaking through the outer perimeter, sir. Bypassing their monitoring systems. Accessing the primary data partition. There's a file, sir, marked confidential. Triple encrypted, stored on an isolated partition separate from everything else. Phase 2. Urban Renewal Coalition. It contains 12 names, sir. Read them, Alfred. 4 city council members. All voted against the Tri-Corner waterfront rezoning. That's a majority of the opposition bloc, sir. Without them, the vote flips. Who else? 2 zoning commissioners who denied demolition permits for historic buildings in old Gotham. A state court judge, Rebecca Montoya, who issued the injunction blocking the waterfront development last spring. Montoya blocked 3 separate permits, and would block more. Then there's a journalist. At the Gotham Gazette, she published a 6-part investigative series exposing corruption in the historic preservation process. Named names. Traced money, the whole thing. The remaining names are community organisers and neighbourhood association leaders. Grassroots people. The ones who actually show up to council meetings, organise petitions, make the phone calls, rally the opposition. 12 people. Every meaningful obstacle between the old families and their plans for Gotham. If those 12 people were implanted, sir, if they woke up one morning and simply changed their minds, the council votes would flip overnight. The injunctions would be withdrawn. The permit denials would be reversed. The Gazette investigation would quietly die. The community opposition would lose its leadership and collapse. Every obstacle to the development projects would dissolve within weeks, perhaps days. No threats. No violence. No scandal. Just a gradual change of heart from 12 key figures. Yes, rather elegant in a horrifying sort of way. The city would barely notice. People change their minds all the time, don't they, sir? Politicians shift positions. Judges reconsider rulings. Journalists move on to other stories. No one would look twice. No one would suspect that the people making those decisions weren't really making them at all. Check on Dr. Cross right now. Arkham entry logs. Dr. Cross badged into the facility at 7:02 this morning, normal start time. Been punctual within 3 minutes of 7 a.m. every working day for 19 years. According to her work calendar, she attended a department meeting at 9, saw 4 patients between 10 and 2, and logged a lunch break at the staff cafeteria at 12:15. Perfectly ordinary day. Her personal phone, the one she used for the dead drop, separate from her Arkham-issued work device, is active. Last ping was from inside Arkham Complex 20 minutes ago. Monitoring. Real-time, passive trace. I don't want them to see us looking. Setting up the trace now. Piggybacking on the cell tower data rather than pinging the device directly. She won't know, and neither will anyone else monitoring her communications. Sir. What? Dr. Cross's personal phone. The signal just cut. Not a normal power down. The transmission terminated mid-packet, mid-data burst. Consistent with the phone being physically destroyed, snapped or crushed. Her Arkham badge? It says it's still active, still inside the facility. In fact, it just swiped into a wing she's never previously accessed. The intensive treatment isolation ward, where Fleece and Ramos are currently housed. She has no patients in that wing. She has no scheduled reason to be there. She's never swiped that door before. Cameras on that corridor? Offline, sir. Maintenance issue logged 31 minutes ago. Submitted by Harold Voss. Reason given: intermittent signal interference, scheduled diagnostic. Voss's timing continues to be impeccable. Every maintenance ticket he files creates a precise operational window. Every window coincides perfectly with something that shouldn't be happening. Pull Dr. Cross's employee health records. Specifically, any recent absences from work. Checking the Wayne Foundation benefit system. Dr. Cross took 8 days of personal leave recently. October 3rd through to the 10th. Leave request was approved and countersigned by Dr. Leonard Hurst. Reason listed: medical absence. Authorized. 8 days, same as Fleece, same as Ramos. Approved by Hurst personally. When did she deposit the dead drop, sir? 11 days ago. She deposited a day or two before your collection run. She sent the message before October 3rd. Before her leave began, before she was taken. The cipher embedded in the survey, the audio recording on the USB drive. Those were the actions of a woman who saw what was happening. Play the end of her recording again. Just the last part.
I said, "Of course I know you, Grace. What's wrong?" She said, "Then remember that. Remember who I am. Promise me." I promised. I thought she was being dramatic. Or maybe she'd had a bad shift.
Grace said
the
the
way
same
she
words
said
to
it-
Cross before Grace disappeared. Remember who I am, it's Cross's phrase. Something she says when she's frightened. A tell, an anchor. And if the woman inside Arkham right now were to say those words, but said them flat, said them without weight, without the fear behind them, said them the same way someone repeats a phrase they've been told to say, rather than one they feel, you'd know. You'd know it wasn't really her anymore. She's not missing, sir. She's been returned. And she's just accessed the isolation ward for the first time in her career. Possibly to facilitate another transfer, another extraction. The person who begged us for help is now part of the operation she tried to expose. Who holds level 4 archive access at Wayne Enterprises? besides me. 9 individuals, sir. All senior executives or board-adjacent personnel with long-standing security clearances. Hurst used a key card to access that archive 4 times. But Hurst is a military surgeon turned asylum administrator. He had no connection to Wayne Enterprises. He couldn't have known Project Athena existed unless someone told him, showed him where to look, gave him the clearance to get through the door, ensured the biometric system would look the other way. Someone inside Wayne Enterprises opened that archive for him. 1 of the 9 people, sir. 3 things. First, everything we found tonight. Every file, every financial trace, every connection. Encrypted and routed to Lucius Fox through the secondary secure channel. Queued for delivery only, dead man package. If I don't cancel the transmission within 72 hours, it sends automatically with full documentation. Fox has the technical expertise to verify the implant technology against the original Athena specifications. Understood, sir. Compiling now. Second, anonymous alert to Dr. Cross's emergency contact. Her sister in Coast City. Untraceable delivery. Inform her that Evelyn may be in danger. If Cross has been compromised, federal intervention from outside Gotham is the only authority beyond the reach of Voss's network. Whatever local protection the court has established, the sister is our best vector for triggering an investigation they can't contain. Third, the Burnley water treatment plant. Cutler is the only one of the 3 inmates who hasn't been returned. If he's still undergoing the procedure, or if they're holding him for further testing, he may still be inside that facility. You're going in, sir? Not yet. Reconnaissance only. Observation from outside the perimeter. I need to map the facility security, identify entry and exit patterns, confirm whether anyone is being held there. Sir, that facility is almost certainly under surveillance. And given that our own systems were breached during the last investigation, given that the same people used the same override technique on our network and on the Wayne Tower archive, they may already be aware that we're looking at Burnley. Walking into their detection range could be precisely what they're hoping for. Which is exactly why we don't move yet. Not until the case is airtight. Something that can't be buried in corporate litigation. Can't be denied in a courtroom. Can't be scrubbed from a server at 3 a.m. If we rush this, they vanish. And the 12 targets on the list? If Powers already has ordered the devices, and they're being delivered to a surgical suite, she has a deployment timeline, a schedule. We need to find it first before the first target is taken. That's the clock. That's what we're working against now. The purchase order, sir. I nearly overlooked something earlier. There's an internal project designation printed on the requisition form. A code name. The sort of shorthand you'd use for internal tracking when you don't want to describe what you're actually doing. What is it? It says, Hollow Men. That's what they call the program internally. Hollow Men. Because that's what they make them. Rather on the nose, isn't it? One might expect a touch more subtlety from an organisation that's allegedly been operating in the shadows for half a century. They're not worried about subtlety anymore. They've been doing this for longer than anyone suspects. That kind of history breeds a particular kind of confidence. And confident people make mistakes. The 9 names, sir. The Level 4 access list. Would you like to know them? Yes. Victoria Debonair, Chief Technology Officer. Robert Langford, Senior Vice President, Applied Sciences. Helen Cho, General Counsel. David Okenwal, Chief Financial Officer. Priya Sharma, Executive Vice President, Global Operations. Tobias Mercer, Director of Strategic Development. Catherine Hale, Board Liaison to Wayne Foundation. James Whitfield, Head of Internal Security. And Arthur Reeves, Deputy Chairman of the Board. He was appointed by your father, sir. One of those names helped Dr. Hurst access your father's sealed research. Helped him take technology that Thomas Wayne buried because he believed it was too dangerous to exist, and turned it into a tool for erasing human beings from the inside out. Does that worry you, sir? It should worry them. I'm heading out, Alfred. I know, sir. I know. Take care, sir.